Hello everyone, welcome to my channel. If you're new here, my name is Colleen and our channel is called Our Silver Moments, referring to the gray in our hair these days. Today I'm going to take you through the process. It's short, of making a German dish called rouladen, and it's just basically a rolled meat, a rolled beef that has some few ingredients in it, and then it's rolled up and then it's braised in a braising liquid for a couple of hours, and then I will show you the things that we have with it traditionally, and hope that this is something that you would consider making in your own kitchen. So I'll gather everything up and I'll be right back after this. I'm going to start off today with some inside round marinating steak. Now sometimes, depending on where you are, you will be lucky enough to find the rouladen in your store that's already been cut into the thin steaks that you need for this recipe. I was not, however, able to find any in my store yesterday, although there are often there. There just wasn't any yesterday when I was shopping for today's meal. When you get rouladen, normally it's cut with the grain, not against the grain. So it has a different texture when you're using an inside round that's been cut properly. You want this to be quite thin. So I've gotten out the knife my husband calls Brutus, and I'm going to do my level best. I should have put this in the freezer for a little bit, just so that it was a little more firm for when I went to slice it. Now you want it to be thin, and if it's not, then you are going to pound it. And I think I'll probably end up pounding this. And the pieces of meat are usually quite big, so these will be definitely not as big as traditional ones, I don't think. And it just requires a bit of patience. As I said, if you get to the store and there's some already there, then you're ahead of the game. So I'm just going to grab a plate to lay these out on. Normally this would be 2 or 3 times this size. I'm going to flip this over and I'm going to start on the next one. And I'll work my way through these. Maybe I'll try this knife. Let's see which one's sharper. I'm not sure. Maybe this one. Bring it to the edge so that my fingers don't bang on the edge of the counter. And there we go. Now, this one's definitely going to need to be pounded. And I'm going to leave that one that size, and I'm going to pound it out as well. And I'm going to go to work on the other one. Now, something else you can do, I have this triangle shape, so you could cut through to just about the edge and then cut underneath it your second slice and then just open them up like a butterfly. You could do that to give yourself bigger pieces. But I think this is going to work. So we should be okay. The rolls do not have to be super big. If you're feeding, you know, a crowd of people or some really hungry eaters or big eaters, then definitely look for beef slices that are bigger than these. I may have to put a couple of these together to give me the thickness that, or the width that I'm looking for. And the nice thing about the rouladen is that with the price of beef these days, the rouladen is not necessarily the best cut, and therefore it's a little less money to buy it. So this one's quite thick too. So I'm going to set this aside for a minute. Reach into my drawer, grab my rolling pin, because I don't have a meat mallet. And I'm just going to lay out a piece of plastic and lay this down. And maybe lay another piece of plastic over it instead of folding it over. Real kitchen, real time. Move all the stuff out of the way that could cause us grief when we start pounding this. And I'm just going to pound it out. Now I'll be able to show you how much bigger that got. See the size of it now? It's a lot bigger. So I'll continue and I'll do that with the rest of these. And then we'll move on to the next step. Okay, I have all the pieces of meat all pounded out flat. And I'll start the process of dressing the meat the way we want it to be dressed. I am going to cover my table here, my island top, just with a piece of plastic, which I should have just left right there. Now comes the part of the fixing that may be the most interesting or fun. Maybe I'll lay a few out here at a time, say 3. I ended up with 6 good sized rolls. I'm going to add about a tablespoon of, yeah, it could be a teaspoon. Depends on how much you like mustard. I feel like this one may have gotten a little too much, or not. And that goes on. There we go. And you just want to spread it all the way around. Now some of the rolls that you see, if you look for other recipes for rouladen on the internet or on YouTube, you'll find that they definitely do it a little bit different in that they roll and they bring the sides in and roll them up so they're like a log. These ones aren't going to be like that just because of the shape that they are. I'm just going to roll them into little loose rolls, not the tight tucked in end rolls that you see there. So now we just need to move this out of the way. First one being a cutting board. And I'm going to bring my knife over and I'm going to cut this onion. And I didn't clean this knife between using it with the meat because everything is going to go into the same pot together. So if you're concerned about that, you could stop worrying now. Now there's a couple of, we're going to use, a big part of this onion is going to go into the broth. And so we just need some slices to go. Let's see how we're doing. I'm just going to lay some of them along there. And I just realized I didn't get out one of the ingredients because we need dill pickles for this. There we go. And I'm going to do the same thing with the pickles. I've got baby dills here, but you could use whatever size you happen to have. I'm just going to cut them up a little bit. And we're going to lay them right there along, oops, let me move the jar out of the way, right there along the fat side of the roll. And Not sure why I put that in my mouth. I'm not the biggest dill pickle fan. Now, I'm going to start at the wide side, and I'm going to start to roll this up. And I'm going to roll it over once. And then I'm going to tuck these bacon ends in. And I'm going to finish rolling this up, making sure that all of the things stay inside that should stay inside. And roll that over, and to hold it into place, because we're going to cook these in a frying pan first, I'm going to use a toothpick or two. Now at this point you could use butcher's wrap, like the butcher string, and secure them that way. Either way, when you go to serve them, you have to remove either the toothpicks or the butcher's wrap. So whichever one you think will work best for you. Now see the size of that? It didn't seem like a very big piece of meat, but by the time you get everything in it and get it rolled, it ends up being quite a bit bigger than you expected. Now, I'll carry on. I'll do the rest. I have my little roaster pan. I'm going to put it with a bit of oil onto the stove top, because I'm going to fry these in there, and then I'm going to add the rest of the ingredients. And when I do that, then it'll go into the oven. Now I have them all rolled up, and I'm going to put them into the hot pan on the stove, and I'm going to brown them on all sides. And while they're browning, I am going to be working on the vegetables and getting them swept down to go into the dish as well. Now we need some onion. So I'm just going to finish chopping up the rest of that bit of onion. I'm just going to leave it big. And I'm going to take about that much more. I'm also going to add a couple of carrots. And so I will just take the peel off of this. These are from the grocery store. Unfortunately, we are out of our homegrown carrots. Oh, we've been out of them quite some time actually, since around Christmas time. That was a sad day, because we certainly do enjoy our own carrots. Okay, now I'm going to just top and tail these two. And just cut them into chunks. And I'm going to do the same thing with 2 ribs of celery. Just going to wash them. I'm just going to make sure that they're cut up. I hear that meat getting quiet, so I'm going to go have a look at it too, because it's either ready to turn or it's not hot enough. Not quite ready yet to turn. Now we're going to make a beautiful sauce with this. And so we're going to be throwing most of this away into the compost pile. So I hear the meat. Now the other things that we're going to need for this are some tomato paste, about 2 tablespoons of tomato paste, and most recipes call for some red wine, and I don't have red wine in the house, but I do have beef stock with red wine in it. So I'm going to use 4 cups of that, and if I need a little more braising liquid, then I'll just add regular beef stock to bring it up to the height that I want it, which is about 2/3 to 3/4 over the roll. I honestly think this will be enough, but just in case, I'm ready. Other things that I have seen people add are a bit of garlic, a couple cloves of garlic, and bay leaf. Those things could go in there, but I'm keeping it simple. This is the way we normally make it, so that's the way I'm going to make it for you. I'll check the meat. I'll be right back. The meat takes about 2 to 3 minutes on each side in a really hot pan. I probably should have used a bit bigger pan, but I wanted to use the same pan that I'm going to bake to put in the oven. So that's where I kind of fell down. But it won't be long. Then I'll remove the meat from the hot pan, and I'll get all of this stuff in there, and I'm going to bring it to a good level before I add, and probably let it cook about 5 minutes before I add the meat back to the pan. I want these to be really tender and let off all their juices so that we have a really good braising stock in the pan. Now I have reduced this a little bit, but not too much. I'm just going to pour it into a bowl to make this all a little bit easier on myself. Get my phone out of the way. Bring over my rolls, and I am going to place these inside the pan, and then I'm going to pour the braising liquid back over top, and these 6 fill this pan pretty much completely up. So back on goes the braising liquid. I made sure that I tested it for seasoning, for salt and pepper, and now the rolls are, I would say almost all of them are completely covered, but the 2 on the outside, not quite as much. So this is going to go into a 325 degree oven, and I'm going to set my timer for 2 hours, and that should be good. I only needed to use just this 1 liter of the beef with red wine. Now, if you weren't going to use the beef stock with red wine, if you had red wine that you wanted to use instead, which is, I prefer that flavor, it's just not what I happen to have, then you would use a cup of red wine and 3 cups of beef stock or chicken stock, whatever your preference. I like to use beef stock when I cook with beef, chicken stock when I cook with chicken. So now, I'm going to put this into the oven, and I'll see you in a couple hours. I have some potatoes boiling in a pot on the stove. This is a pretty simple meal, and I'm going to heat some red cabbage in the microwave, and I'm just going to make up a slurry and thicken my sauce, but first I have to strain it. So I'm going to go over there, bring my pan over, I'm going to remove the rouladen because they're perfectly cooked, and strain out the braising liquid. And I'll show you what that all looks like. Now this is what the pan looks like. I don't want to tip it too much and spill it. That gives you an idea of what it would look like. Now I'm going to root around in here and get out my rouladen. And just hold them on this plate while I make up the sauce. It is smelling so good. Now I'm going to strain this, just using a strainer inside the pot that I'm going to thicken it in. And do it this way. Then I've got some cornstarch in a bowl, probably enough, about 2 tablespoons, and I'm going to get this onto the stove. I'll add water to this and I'll thicken this up. Okay, I think I have it all laid out here for you, and I am going to start off with just a few potatoes. And all I've done is wash and cut off the ends of some Yukon Gold potatoes. I haven't done anything to them to make them fancy because I've got that beautiful braising liquid to put on them. And I have some pickled cabbage, which we love with our roulade. Maybe it's just a habit, but it's how we do it. And then I'm going to add a roulade here. And I'm going to get some of that beautiful braising liquid that I've thickened and pour it over the rouladen and over the potatoes. And there you go. That's what's for dinner tonight at our house. A simple meal that has its heritage back in Germany. And I hope you've enjoyed today's video. Please give it a like or a thumbs up and subscribe to the channel if you haven't already. I look forward to seeing you guys all on the next one. So take care, everybody. Bye-bye.